Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. In this video, I am going to discuss with you variables and data types in Java. Here are the topics that you can see what we are going to cover. So in this video, we are going to cover, you can see the types of variables, and also we'll be covering categories of data types. What are the different categories in Java we have? So those are the things that we are going to discuss in this video. Also, we'll see some practical use cases, how to use or where to use, which situation we can use variables and what type of data types are there. So those things that we are going to time to cover in this video. Let's start the video here. So I will start talking about from the variables. Okay, so if I ask or if I say what is variables here, from the variable parts we are going to learn that what is variables. Okay, after that we'll see that how to declare or what is the, you can say, use cases, right? Or what are the benefits. So we can say why to use variables, right? And after that we will see the benefits, or you can see that is something goes to your why. Benefit is nothing but why you are using the variable. And also we'll see that uh, why and how to use, right? We can see that how to use variables or how to declare variables. So these are the things that we are going to cover. So before we jump to in details of variables, let's try to understand what is variable. So as you guys already know that in a class, so let's say I have a class. That class can contain generally two types of members. One is its variables, another is, so class is contains generally two types of members. One is your variables and another is your I can say that is a methods, right? So in this video we are going to understand the variables, right? So this variable is nothing but this is something which is a, I can say it is a containers. So as a definition of a variable, we can say that variable is a container which holds some data, right? So I can say variable it's a container. It's a container container which hold data, right? So this is the, you can say, very straightforward uh, definition of variables. Now if I say that a variable is a container, or you can say which holds some data, right? So in memory, let's say I have a memory area. In this memory area I want to store some data. I have a value, let's say I have a number, and the value of the number is 10. So if you are going to store this 10, it will actually get stored into a variable, and the data of this particular variable is 10, right? This is how it is going to be stored into your memory area. Now here the question is, right, that when to use, right? When to use the data variables. So it is nothing but whenever you are going to hold some data for any reason. Let's see, I'm writing a calculator program. Okay, I am writing a calculator program. I'm writing a calculator, right? So if you are going to write a calculator program, what you are going to do, you are having one number. Let's say I am saying number one and number two, right? I'll be having two different numbers, so number one and number two. After that, we'll do some operation and we are getting the result, right? So if this number one and number two and result I want to store into some container, so for that reason I have to go ahead with the variables. Okay, so now let's see how we can declare the variables in Java. So here are the syntax for using your variables. So we can say that syntax, right? Syntax is it's very straightforward. First, you need to use the data types. Let's say I have a data types. So data types, data underscore types, and your variable name. Let's say variable name is equal to value, right? This is a you can say one of the this is your the first part is nothing but talking about your data types. Second part is your variable name and equals. It is the third part that is the data it is going to contain. So let's see there are different type of variables, different type of data. You can say variables are there or data types are there in Java. So those from those data type, let's say I want to store an integer type of value, right? So if you want to store integer type of value, so what we can do actually, so if you want to store integer type of data, so what you'll do int, let's say data type, my data type is int, right? And I'll give a name as name, integer number, let's say number one is equal to 10. So if you are declaring this way, first you used the data type, after that you have used the name of the particular variable, and after that we are assigning the value. So this way we are declaring the data type. This is the syntax with the first part. This from the before the left side, this is your declaration, and this is the initialization of your data, right? So this is how you can declare your variables. There are other format also. Let's see, I'll talk about the formats of how to declare the variables. Ways of declaring the variables, you can declare it like, let's say integer, I'll say a is equal to 10. This is one of the way to declare a variable. Or we can declare multiple variables, or we can declare without assigning any values also. So we can also declare it like this way, int b, that's okay. So this is something we are not writing this part. From this part to this part we are not writing there in this declaration, way of declaration. So I can say this is one of the way of declaration, this is another way of declaration. So let's see another way of declaration. We can have multiple variable declaration in a single statement also. For this now here I have declared one variables, but if I want, let's say I have multiple variables to declare for a particular class, and they are with the same data type. It means I want to declare multiple integer type of data. So in that case, what we can do like integer int a comma b comma c, right? This way also we can declare the data. But what, let's see, I want to declare the uh, this is nothing but we are declaring, right? This is variable declaration. This is variable declaration, right? But what if I want to but this is something we can say declaration plus initialization, right? This is nothing but you can say declaration with initialization. Declare at the same time I can initialize also multiple for multiple variables. Let's see another example. I can say integer, let's say I'm saying int a is equal to 10. I'll say b, I do not want to assign any data, so I'll leave b, but for c I want to declare 15. So this is another way I can initialize. I can have multiple data initialization. At the same time we can assign, we can declare some data also, right? There not only integer, I can have any type of data like Let me scroll it up a little bit. We can have different type of data types, like we can have byte type of data type, like you can say byte, let's see, x is equal to 10, right? So this is how we can declare. Also, let's say there is a character, right? So if you want to store your characters, pi, I'll say char, char, char. You can pronounce it as char also. Some people pronounce it char. So I pronounce it as carrot. Okay. So char, let's say ch. This is my variable name, and I'll store it a any random character. Let's say p. Right. So if you are going to store this way, these are nothing but you can say some different types of way how you can declare or initialize your values, your variables. Okay. So here one of the topic that we have discussed, that data types, right? So data types, these are this integer, int, byte, character, whatever you are seeing this before your variable name. This is your variable name, this is the data type, and this is the value, right? This is a value of the, then this is the name or identifier, you can say. This is a identifier, right? And this is a data type. Type of data types in Java we have, right? So okay, let's talk about different type of what all are the different types of data types. So we can see types of data type, right? So if I see there, what all are the types of data type in Java we have? There are basically three types of data type in Java. One is your instance variable, instance variable. Let's say instance variable. Another is your class variable. Okay. Another is your local variable. Remember here one point, this instance variable also called as non-static variables. Okay, because the variables we declare as an instance variable, we generally take those variables as a non-static variable. Those are not your static. Okay, so these variables we also call as a non-static variables. This is very important, guys, because at the time of interview also, interviewer interviewer will try to you can see confuse you what is instance variable or what is non-static variable, what is the difference between instance and non-static. So basically they are equal, they are referring to the same type of variables. There is no difference between instance variable and non-static variable. Similar to, if we talk about the class variable also known as static variable. Okay. So we have seen that what all are the types of data type we have. We have sorry, instead of data type, I should have said these types of variables, not data types, because we are right now learning the variables, right? So we can say types of variables. So if I say there are different what types of variables we have: instance variable, class variable, and local variable. Now, this instance variable, the variables that which we are declaring as a non-static variable. Non-static variable in the sense we are not going to use static keyword for the particular variable. So the example that you have earlier seen already, we have given one example. Let's say integer, and I say number one is equal to 10, right? So if I write this way, here I am not using any static keyword, right? So that is something is an example by of instance variable. Okay, this is nothing but a instance variable. Of course, there are some condition to see that it is an instance variable or not. That is one of the condition is it should not have the static keyword. Okay, that is the first point, should not have static keyword. Another point is that it should be declared outside of your method. Means it should be declared inside in a class level. Okay, not inside a method. Okay, so these are the you can see rules for the instance variable. Similarly, if I say class variable or static variable, that means the variables which are declared with the static keyword. Okay, so let's say I am declaring one variable static integer number 2. So here you can see that this is one of the variable num2, say num2, and this variable we are using the static keyword as well, right? So in this case we'll say that this is an example of class variable, and here also we have certain rules. First rule is it should have static keyword. Another and second rule is it should have static keyword, and it should be in declared in the class level, not in the method. Inside method we cannot have a static or class level variable, so it should be there in the class level. Okay, so class level. So both the types of variables you have seen, this instance variable and the you can say class level variables, they are declared in the class level only. Class level, clear? So, and apart from this, which is not declared into the class level but inside of a method, those variables are called as a local variable. Okay, so the remaining one which is declared inside of your method, so those kind of variables we are calling as a local variable. It cannot be static, because inside a method that is going to be, that is there is no use of static keyword. Okay, so these are the different types of variable. I hope this is clear to you. Now let's try to understand what is the use of or means when to use the static keyword and when to not to use the static keyword. That is very something important. Let's try to understand that part. There in when you are working with some you can say application or some requirement, right? There can be some of the example where you need to make changes of the variables. So let's say I have a two variable, uh, variable 1 and another variable I have, let's say variable 2, right? I have two variable. From this variable, my variable 1, let's say it is saying my company name, right? Let's say this is my company name, right? So this company name, this name is one variable, and I have another variable, let's say company, you can say size in the sense, I let's say employee size, right? I can say employee size, right? This employee size, now you can guys understand that company name is going to be fixed for every time, always it is going to be fixed, it is almost always, it is never going to be changed. Or also if it is changed for one time, after that it is not going to change. But the size of employees, right, the size of employees is not going to change ever, sorry, it is going to change every day, right? So that is something that we can say, it is, I can say, EMP size, employee size, right? So this is another variable I have for this particular company. So the company employee size can be changed, but the name cannot be changed. So in this case, this is something I have to I have to decide what you want to have, and for employee size, how we can deal these two, right? The problem is, the question is, how you are going to deal with this particular situation, right? So the thing is, when you are going to work with static, right? This is a keyword. Static keyword. What happen actually when you use a static with a particular variable? Now let's say I have a class A. Okay, I have a class A. Now for this class, I have a two variables. Let's say name is a variable, and I have another variable employee size, right? I do not want to change this name, but I want to change size. So if you do not want to make changes, then what we do actually, we want to go ahead with the static keyword so that it should remain unchanged, and every time you are going to use this particular variable, you will get the same data every time. Okay. But what if you want to modify the data in your, as per according to your need, right? So in that case, we should go with the non-static keyword. So means we will not use the static keyword here. We'll be just only using this. Okay. Let's try to see this into an example so that if this is something whatever we have talked so far. So this is going to be very clear to you guys. I'm taking you to the IntelliJ and we'll do some program here. Okay. So I'm going to main inside there. Let's create a particular new package. Instead of this package, I'll do my what? So I'll say variables. Let's create a new class. So I'll say new Java class, and I'll give a name as variable demo for now. Okay. So this is one class I have created. I'll take one main method to execute my class. Let's say inside of this variable, this is the class, this is another method. So if I declare some variables over here, let's say integer, I say int a is equal to 10, right? So this is one of the way how you can declare the variables, and this variable also I can use static keyword as I told earlier. So let's in p is equal to 20, right? So this way also you can define your variables. So this is one of the variable where we did not use the static keyword, and for this variable b I have used the static keyword. So these are the two different type of variables. First one is your primitive data type, and the second one is your class level variables. Class, right? It is class variables. So I can write it like this is nothing but a class variable, and this one is my instance variable, right? Now another thing I have discussed, that we can declare multiple variables at a time, and also we have said that we can just declare the variable but do not assign the value. Let's say I say x, right? In this way we can declare the value, but we did not assign any value to this particular variable, right? Similar way, we can declare multiple values. Let's say a1, comma b1, right? comma c1, any number of variables you can declare in a single line itself. So each and every variable is going to be your integer type variables, right? So this way we can also declare my variables. Another way, let's see, I want to declare at the same time I want to assign some value also. See, if I say it was equal to 20 and b1 b2, let's say I want to leave it as it is. I should not use semicolon, instead colon comma b2, and c2 I want to say is equal to 35, right? So this is another approach, or this is another way you can define your variables. Okay, so hope this first part is clear to you guys. Now let's talk about the static and non-static variables. Static variable, I have said that the variable which is associated with the static keyword, but the non-static variable, this is not associated with the static keyword. This is one of the difference between these two type of variable. Now let's see that use cases how it is looks different type of variable. For that reason, what I'll do, let me create one class so it will be very you will be able to understand it correctly. Let's say I'm giving uh, name as a let's say car, or you can say company, right? So I'm creating a company class. Inside of this, let's say company. Okay. Instead of this, I'll say in string name, string, I'll say name is equal to, let's say I'm giving a company name IBM, right? And I can say take integer employee count is equal to, let's say 1000 something, right? So uh, here are two different variables I have. One is string name. This name you can understand that company name is going cannot be changed, right? It is going to be same every day, every time, any whatever, right? So if the company is same, that name is going to be same. So we can take this particular variable name as static keyword with a static keyword also. So I'm declaring it as static, but employee count I'm not declaring as a static. Now let's see what happens. Now in this code I'm going to create an object of this particular company. So I'll say company, and I'll give a you can see object, let's say object 1 is equal to new company. Okay, so I have created an you can see object of this particular company, and that object, if you try to print the value of employee count, I should be able to print let's say employee count, right? And after that I'll say you can see object 1 dot employee count, right? So if you print this, it should be able to print the employee count. Let's print the let's print the name also. I'll say company name, and I'll print the name, right? Let me print the object dot name, right? Although it is a static type of variable, and I should not use with the object name, but for now, let me use it as it is. Let me use with the object name. We can call it with the company class name itself. Okay, it should be actually recommended way to call by this approach. But for now, let me call it with the object reference, so that we should be able to understand the difference between use of this, right? If you run this code right now, we'll be getting the output, whatever the name we have provided here. Now here you can see that we got that company name is IBM, and the company and the value also we have reached this, right? Now let's do one thing, more thing. Let me create one more, you can see object of this class. So I have created another object and I'll give it name as object 2. What I will do now, I will try to change the value of this particular, you can see employee count. First, let me do one thing. I'll try to change the name of this particular company. You'll see dot name is equal to, I'll say TCS, right? So here you can see what I am doing. I have a two object, object one and object two, right? Now I am changing the value of name by using the object two, not the object one, and I have changed that name to TCS. Also, let me change obj dot employee count. Initially, it was 1 lakh. Sorry, 10,000 1 lakh, right? Initially, it was 1 lakh. Let me change the value to increase the value. I'll say it is 1.5 lakh, right? So if I say this way, now try to see what is the output we are getting here. And let's try to print the output from the object 2 also, so that we should be able to see the difference in the result. And in between, let me take one separator, this out print, and I'll do some separator this way. Now let's try to run. Now see what happened. The first print, this is one what we are getting. Company name is got changed, right? It is TCS and this is also TCS, right? And here, okay, one more thing. Let me change the value. This should be 2 and this should be 2. Let me run it once again. Now see the difference. For the first case, object 1 we are using, and we have changed the object 1 value. Let me change the for the same object, not for the different object. Let's see and let's run it and show you. Now see that we have changed the value for the object 2, not for the object 1, right? So the name of the company, now you can see for that first print object dot name and object one dot name and the count. It is count is not changed, right? Here the count was 1 lakh. Here also it is printing 1 lakh, right? But the name of the company is got changed. You can see it is name is IBM. Now name is got changed to TCS, right? And for the next case, when we are printing the data from this object 2, we can see that employee count, it is showing the data we have changed here, right? So now you can understand if we are changing the data by using any object, okay? If we are changing the data by using the object, um, by using this object 1 or object 2, so it is actually changing the data inside of this particular object only, inside this particular object 2 only, for this reference, right? So for that reason this is printing the data what we have made changes, but we did not make any changes for the object 1. We did not make any changes. So for that reason, whatever was the initial value, original value, that is printed here, right? But if you are making some changes into the original value, that is something is now printing with the uses of this particular variable object, right? The question is arises now that why this name is got changed, right? But the employee count is not got changed. Here is the trick, guys. It is a you can see that it is a use of the static keyword is making issue here. I know that name is a static, right? If something is static, So if you are making for this class company, name is a static variable, this is your static variable, and this is your non-static variable. So the difference is, if you are making changes into the static variable value, so it is going to make changes all the objects. Okay, so whatever number of object you have created for this particular company, I have created two objects, so it is making changes for both the all the objects that you are going to create. Once you make changes in this particular object, this particular name, okay, so it is going to change into across all the objects that you have created. But if you are using any making changes of a non-static variable, this employee count is your non-static variable. If you are making changes into the employee count non-static variable, that is going to affect only those only there for that particular object that you are using, right? So if there is two object, object 1 and object 2, object 1 is not getting affected due to the changes you are doing there in the object 2 for those non-static variables. So this is the difference of object static and non-static variables use cases. Right now here you can understand that what is the importance of making your variables, because I do not want to make changes, someone to make changes my company name. Instead, every day that employee count may get changed, right? It can increase, it can decrease. So uh, this is my, you can say, dynamic variable. This is a dynamic variable which value is going to be changed. But this is a static variable. We do not want to make changes for this particular variable, right? So for that reason, here one more keyword we can use, final. So if you make it is a final, so no one is going to make changes for this particular variable name. So with that, using final keyword, so you cannot modify that particular data. Okay, hope this concept is clear. And also the concept of what is the why, when to use this static keyword and when not to use the static keyword, I think this is also clear. If you want that, if you make changes for a particular object that should reflect to all the objects, then you can go ahead with the static. And if you want that, if you make any changes to in your object reference value, uh, and that shouldn't make changes to other objects wherever you are creating, that case you should not use the non-static keyword, you should use the non-static variables. Hope this concept is clear to you guys. In our next video, we'll see about more about the you can see data types. What all are the data types are there, and what are the use case, and how to convert data types from one type of data to another types. Okay, guys, see you. And in this video, I'm winding it up here. Let me know if you have any question, any doubt. Thank you, guys. Bye.